Yo, and how's it going, Apple Army? Welcome back to the Game in Apple. So, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. And I don't see other people doing content like this, and I can understand why. This sort of content, this video is a really difficult video to make. I've had to do a lot of thinking of how I want to go through this, how I want to present this, because this video requires a lot of knowledge. I can't be misinforming you guys on this because this is such a big topic, right? And basically, what we're doing is I'm going to try to teach you all how to play STAM DK like a pro, whether or not you're a new player, whether or not you're a veteran player, and just you can't push yourself any further. Whether you just been playing it for a bit, I am going to try to do my best to teach you how to take that next step as a Stamina Dragonite. And this is different to build videos. And I'll tell you why this is different to build videos. Because build videos go through like this, right? They go, yeah, wear these sets. Let's go through all these sets, right? You need to wear this. You need these skills. Yeah, we need all these skills, right? Or make sure you're this race with this, this Mundus. With I think my food ran out, but we'll go to the food now. So with this food, actually I don't even have the right food, so I'm just gonna check a random food on. But you get the point. With this food, I use Arteum, by the way. But and then they go in like, you must run this CP. So it's like you must run all this CP, and that's good. Right, take the first step. If you don't know how to make a build yourself, if you don't know what skills to run, right, that is the first step. You need a solid build, right? And my build videos do that, and I go in a bit of into depth about how to use them. But this video is to take that build that you've got. So you've done your research, you've now got your build. You build strong, you know it's strong, you've seen other people do well on it, alright? So you know this build's strong, so you're thinking, why can't I do what they're doing, right? And that is what we're going to get into in this video. I'm going to go over how to play STAM DK with a bow two-hand, with sword and board two-hand, with dual-wield two-hand, with two-hand dual-wield, with bloody sword and board dual-wield. I'm going to go over all the valid STAM DK options for your playstyle. This is going to be a long video, and I just want to make sure I go into detail on everything, so you guys come out of this with more knowledge on how to play STAM DK. I'm sorry for the long intro, but I want to make it very clear what we're doing in this video. Right, so let's get right into it. Like I said, I am going to be ignoring the sets, right? So ignore the sets, right? That is not relevant. Sets are not relevant. I can assume that most of you have gone away, done your research, and got good sets. So what we're going to focus on right now is just, right now we're on a bow and two-hand, right? A bow and two-hand. And I'm going to explain to you, first of all, why I've got certain skills, right? Why I have got certain skills. So on Dragonite, you always need a snare removal, right? This is my key list. You need a snare removal. You need a source of speed. Major expedition, right? You need strong heals, okay? And then you need good damage, right? You need these things. So we need shuffle, because on a bow build we can't be running race against time or anything else, because when we roll dodge, we get speed, right? Simple as that. So if we look straight in there, I know this is starting off simple, but we will get more into it, right? So if we go to bow, so we start off with that, easy. You roll dodge, you get speed. So you pair this shuffle, major evasion, which is really nice as a bonus. You don't need it on DK, but major evasion with snare mobility, and then speed. So perfect, that's sorted. Then we look at Fragmented Shield, right? And Fragmented Shield is not a must in every STAM DK build. Can I just get that clear? It is not a must, but it is in this setup, and I'll explain why. Because, right, Fragmented Shield comes from here, right, from the skill line. So yes, it gives us a nice heal, right, which is nice. It works for this build. But we need to run a skill from the Earthenheart skill line to give us our minor brutality, the 10%. So you don't see me running more than one of these skills, right? I usually, if I'm using Fossilize, I will switch out Fragmented. If I'm using Armaments, I will switch out Fragmented. Stuff like that, right? And that's what you need to understand. So it's not just about the heals. It's really big about this, because STAM DK really stacks weapon damage really nice. And then, of course, every time you cast an Earthenheart ability, you restore some stamina. So we do get stamina back as well. So you got to keep these things in mind, right? It's more than just one skill. The same goes for Volatile Armor. Like, Volatile Armor is a must, okay? I think on every single STAM DK build, it's a must. If we're building a foundation of a STAM DK build, if you want to understand and play STAM DK, you can use any morph you want. I use this one so I bring Nightblades out of stealth, right? But we get our resistances, but then we're running it for our 12% extra healing whilst it's active. So we need to have one of these skills active. I wouldn't run Dragon Blood with this, right? I wouldn't run Dragon Blood with this because I only want to run one skill from here, really, on a STAM DK. And that for me is Volatile Armor. Sometimes we'll pair Wings with it, but the majority of the time it's just Volatile Armor that we get, so we get that healing and recovery. Not recovery, what is it? Healing. Right. Cool Rise. Like I said, we need heals, right? We need heals. And there's a few ways you can play a bow build, right? So we can take Cult Rise out. Obviously, Cult Rise is amazing for our heals, right? But you can take Cult Rise out. We can play this. You can definitely play this, right? You can play, you know, poison injection instead of Cult Rise. But then you need to think, I've got less heals. So what you might want to do is then you might want to go and switch out some CP. So you might think if we're running poison injection, maybe we switch out this CP and we put it in over here for our 10% extra healing done on single target attack players. Yeah. So you just switch out that to try to get some extra healing, or you'd add extra health recovery into the build. But you need to make up for the fact that you've now switched to Venom Arrow. Okay. But it's definitely runnable, right? And that's the point in this video. I want to go over everything that is runnable, right? Then for me, back bar, I think Temporal Guard is probably the best in slot for every single STAM DK build. Well, nearly every single STAM DK build. Sometimes you can run Shield Wall instead. And I mean, you can move when the Werewolf Transformation for the extra 15% stamina recovery. Not really needed on STAM DK. Or you can run Magma Armor, Corrosive, but I don't really like that. I don't think it's needed at the moment. There are definitely better things. Temporal Guard is really nice to run for the 5% damage mitigation. And then also, I like to have one of these skills active, because even on a bow, right, we do need to block sometimes. And it gives us a nice 5k damage shield, 2.5k in Cyrodiil, but it just mitigates that even nicer. And that pairs really nice then with our blocking on bow bar with this passive. I believe it's this passive. Let me go. I think it's Iron Skin. Yeah, Iron Skin. So it increases the damage that you can block by 10%. So you need to keep this into consideration. No matter the build, DKs can block. We can always block on STAM DK because we have a lot of mitigation. Just straight up, just from being a Dragon Knight. And then over here we got nice spell resistance. So usually you're looking to buff up your physical resistance, which will get me over to my potions now. So in patches where you're feeling squishier, I run the physical resistance potions, right? But you don't need to run them. I run physical resistance potions for 1v1, 1v2, 1v3, 1v4. But then when I start Xing, I switch over to knockback and speed potions. So knockback, speed, and stamina. Because resistances only take you so far. You need to know how to move, right? You need to be able to kite properly. That is massive on DK. And you need to know when you need to switch potions, right? Because those speed potions mean that I don't have to roll dodge as much, right? Sometimes I will still roll dodge to avoid some attacks. But I am now immobilized for any stun, so I can't be stunned for a period of time, and I have speed. So I can just go for it. I don't need to waste stamina on roll dodging. So, and I don't take as much damage because I'm gaining distance. So there's a time and place where speed potions will do more for you than resistance potions. There's a time and place for them. And then sometimes you need a tri potion when you're caught really bad. Like, there is time and place, and you need to understand when to use all of it. Don't let anybody tell you you must run this, you must run this. This whole point of this video is to give you options, right? And I think that's what build videos lack, is options with in-depth explanations on how to run your builds. Right, now let's move over to here. So I feel like you need on STAM DK some sort of execute, right? You don't always need an execute, and we'll get into that later, but I feel like for the majority, you need some sort of execute, okay? So we run Executioner, you can run a different morph, you can run another morph. Venomous Claw, you can switch out Venomous Claw for, I don't have the skill unlocked, but what I'll do is I'll just quickly go unlock it. I've only got one skill point. Where is it? So, you can put Camel Hunter in here. So obviously I don't have the morph, but you guys know the morph. It's the morph that would give you the extra 5% damage from Minor Berserk from this morph. The morph that gives you Minor Berserk, right? So you can put that in there for some builds. And with these sort of builds, right, you would have Venom Arrow with Camel Hunter. That's usually how it goes. You'd run the Master Bow back bar when procs come back, and that's kind of how you would run this sort of setup. And then you would have you would change your CP and healing around to make up for the fact that you no longer have Cauterize. You'd up your weapon damage so you have greater burst rally heals and greater vigors. That is how you'd move around it. So you'd be more bursty, more gas cannony, but you can still X. And that's what I'm saying. There are different ways that you can build to X. We'll do is switch this back. Okay. Then Toxic Breath is a must. This is foundation, right? Toxic Breath is a must. And some form of Major Brutality is a must on STAM DK, right? For the where is it? For your extra 20% damage, right? You don't the minor endurance for 15% extra stam recovery isn't needed, but it's nice, okay? But this is a must, the brutality, because look at my weapon damage right now. Look at my weapon damage. On DK, we can go from 4.7k weapon damage to rally to 5.5, and then to fragmented all the way up to 6k, right? You see how easy weapon damage stacks on DK? You need to be making sure that you have some form of minor brutality and major brutality. Make the most out of your DK. And Toxic Breath is so awesome because it puts an AO, it does a really nice straight up damage, nearly 8k straight up damage, right? A nice dot, and then 6k pen, and it's an AoE. I wouldn't run, some people like to run, right? I don't get it. Some people like to run Puncture and get the minor fracture as well. I don't get it. Toxic Breath is one of the best skills in the game, in my opinion. It's an amazing skill. It makes DK amazing. Venomous Claw, obviously good for the double dot, right? Don't get me wrong. But Toxic Breath is a staple. You must run it on a STAM DK. If any STAM DK tells you any different, they're out of their mind, right? Nauseous Breath is a must. Put it in your build. Then we have Dizzy Swing. Now, for a two-hand build, you don't always need Dizzy Swing, but in this setup, we do. And we'll get into different things that we can change about Dizzy Swing later on. Take Flight is a must, right? Very occasionally, you can switch out for Dawnbreaker. And not this Dawnbreaker, the other Dawnbreaker that's part of me that stuns everybody. And that's on more dot-heavy builds, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, there is an option for that, but the majority, Take Flight. Okay, so that is enough about bow two-hand. Let us move on now to dual-wield two-hand. So we're going to go through the two-hand stuff first, and then talk about the dual-wield front bar, right? So we'll do it like this. So again, pretty simple. So we wanted our way of getting our movements, right? And we're not getting that right now. So we don't get minor expedition from our class right now. And that's something I need to change. We have snare movability, but if I put this in, we get major expedition. But now we don't have snare movability, right? So what you could do is now switch the morph of this to forward momentum to get some more snare movability if you wanted to keep major evasion. But if you're in a heavy armor spec or a bit tankier, what we can do is go down to race against time. Okay? And we can run race against time for our major expedition, 10% crit damage, and our movement speed, right? So you don't have major evasion, but let me get this in your head. You don't always need major evasion on STAM DK. A lot of builds I do put out don't have major evasion. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's not a must. You can work around not having major evasion, right? But speed, snare mobility, that is something you need because that is your movement, and we need movement, okay? Now, Cauterize, again, we can switch out Cauterize, right? So Cauterize can go for here, for Blood Craze, or Twin Slashes for the other morph that gives you a bit more damage, right? Up to you. This one gives you more heals, the other one gives you more damage. Personally, it depends on the situation. I prefer Blood Craze for 1v1s and Battlegrounds, but for actual Xing, I switch out to the other morph a lot of times, depending on my setup. But for this build, probably Blood Craze, because you want the extra heal coming in. We'd want extra health recovery, as you'd want to be running some health recovery food. Extra heals, so CP, change the heals around. You want to find that sweet spot. But in terms of skill, you would definitely use, on a Blood Craze build, you would definitely run Venomous Claw with Toxic Breath. You would run these three, right? I wouldn't switch out Venomous Claw for the Fighter's Guild skill when running Twin Slashes or Blood Craze, because we're going towards the pressure style build with Leap as a burst and uppercut. So that is how I would run it, and then you can obviously switch out. This and put on. You could put on Cauterize and then go for Blade Cloak and run the. Let me just pull it out. Do I have the Black Rose on me? I do not have the Black Rose on me, I don't think. Okay, so I don't have the Black Rose on me, but you could run Black Rose. But depends on the situation. For Black Rose, for protection and extra damage. But if you're not running Black Rose and you're running Dual Wield, you will want to be running Twin Slashes, because otherwise you're just not getting the most out of Dual Wield. Okay, right, so that is enough about the setup for Dual Wield two-hand. Let me take a look now at Sword and Board two-hand. So we're just going to put like anything on, right? I think I have an endurance piece. Do I have an endurance piece? No, I don't. So like I said, it doesn't matter anyway. We'll just keep a Sword and Shield at the end of the day. Right. So straight away, Sword and Shield, I'm not getting Major Expedition. When I run a Sword and Shield build, 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to run Race Against Time. Very rarely will I put on Shuffle, right? Very rarely. And that'll be if in group play, or I'm taking a lot of Major Evasion in group play. But for 1vx, I put on this. That is my mobility. That is my speed, like we've gone through. And it's such a great skill. Now on Sword and Shield, you want to be blocking more. You really do want to be blocking more. Like for the Dual Wield, you want Dual Wield two-hand. You want to be kiting more, not roll dodging, not blocking as much, but kiting. Bow, you want to be roll dodging and kiting. Sword and Board, you want to be blocking and kiting. Okay, there's difference. There's difference in how you play them. Obviously, you need to block, roll, run, dodge in all the builds, but there's just some priorities you need to take. Because in this one, we can take a lot less. We can increase the damage that we block massively. Obviously, I don't have the passive because I'm not running Sword and Board at the moment. But yeah, go for the passive yourself. Really nice. And then you can also chuck Shield Wall. So the one that reflects Spell Wall, that reflects all attacks, you can switch that out then for Temporal Guard, right? You don't even need Cauterize here. You don't even need a Cauterize in this skill spot. So what I see some people doing, right? But not on a two-hand build, I would actually run Cauterize, but I'll get into a bit different specs when we run Sword and Board Dual Wield. But yeah, this is the spec that I would run for a Sword and Board Dual Wield two-hand. You can switch out this skill here for the Fighter's Guild skill again, for the other morph, like I was saying, that gives you Minor Berserk. You can put that skill in instead of Venomous Claw, but I would keep the rest of it the same. I wouldn't be switching these skills. Not for a Sword and Board two-hand DK build, right? Okay. Yeah, this is how I would run it. Okay, and then what we're gonna do now is get on to a bit more elaborate stuff. Okay, so let me just switch here. So any Dual Wield will do. Okay, so we're just going to run any Dual Wield here, right? So now we're looking at Sword and Board with Dual Wield, right? This is where it gets a bit different, okay? This is where we get a bit different. So first of all, we need to switch out the uppercut. So uppercut gets replaced with Fossilize. Straight away, a magic skill increased, right? We want to be keeping this skill here, Venomous Claw, but we can no longer use Rally. So Rally gets switched out then for Blood Craze, because we want to be running Blood Craze on this bar, okay? And then when we're running the spec here, you would also want to run an Execute. So we'd put in Whirling Blades. So now you see we get the 3 dots that we were talking about earlier on the front bar. We switched our Execute to an AoE Execute, and we've got Fossilize for our stun. Then on back bar, so we don't have Brutality anymore. And this is where you would swap out the Fragmented Shield. Because like I said earlier, right, we need a skill from here. We need a skill from here to give us our Minor Brutality. But we also need Major Brutality. So we're going to do it in one skill, right? We're going to do that in one skill. We need to keep this for our healing. Because when we activate that, we get our armor, right? Like I said before, we get our armor, we get our healing. We need that active, right? And now when I activate, if you look at my damage right now on Sword and Board, 4k weapon damage, you put that all the way up to 5k. That one skill has just jumped me a k in weapon damage, right? Yeah, it's a great skill when you're running sword and board dual wield, and on top of that, right, it gives you your extra 35% damage done with heavy attacks while active for the 36 seconds, and I believe this goes up to 50% extra heavy attack damage, and that isn't just. Can I just say that's on both bars, right? And that isn't just full-on heavy attacks, right? That also counts for medium weaves, right? So that also counts for medium weaves. Not light attacks, but medium weaves and heavy attacks. That's what it counts for. So yeah, it doesn't, because we know that because they've always classed heavy attacks as medium attacks, unless it specifically says fully charged heavy attacks. And in this case, it says heavy attacks. And nowhere does it say a fully charged heavy attack. So we can use medium weaves instead. Sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. Oh, right. Yeah. So we want to be having that skill. And it's a hefty magic skill, but it's once every 36 seconds, so it's easy to keep up. So you'd have this up, you'd have this up, you'd have Cauterize up. We wouldn't, well, I mean, right, you could run Race Against Time, right? That is a lot of magic skills on the back bar, right? But yeah, you could definitely run Race Against Time. I think you would, to be honest, I think you would have to run Race Against Time because of the, what is it? Because you need to be able to move, get out of the snares and give yourself some increased movement speed, right? And you want to keep the pressure on the front bar. So you'd need a lot more magic recovery, to stay in this build. And you'd probably want to run tri-stat potions. So when we're going through here, I would be switching to tri-stat potions because we want to get that magic coming in. And we'll be rotating the, what is it? I would be rotating my ultimates a bit more to be getting my battle roar, right? And most likely I'd run this sort of build when I'm in a more heavy armor meta with, I'm just going to go over a skill, more heavy armor meta with Malakath. I didn't want to go through many things, but this does kind of bring a build like this together, right? Obviously we can't run it right now, but next patch you can. And if we're going into the heavy armor skills now, what you do is you get extra, let me just show you. So where is it? Constitution. So when you take damage, for each piece of heavy armor that you have active, you get an extra 108 magic and stamina returned to you. So if you're running 4 pieces, that's over 400 extra magic and stamina you're getting back every 4 seconds. And for your magic sustain, that is really nice. So that's something you need to pay attention to a build like this as well. And you want to be running Fossilized when you're being offensive, not just spamming it. You got to be very careful with magic in a build like this, but it does work, and it can be very, very effective. Right, so that is that done. Now I want to run two-hand on the back bar. Now this is I think this is the final one I'm going to do and look at, but this is probably the most outgoing one, right? So it's two-hand on the back bar. And straight away, you literally can't see. I don't have a thing for this because I don't like this play style, but there is a way that you can do it. So I don't have like a nice look design for this, but I would still keep this, right? We would need Rally, right? So probably put Rally over, where are you? We put Rally here, right? And then what I would do is switch out this for Fragmented. So we've got our heals on the back bar, right? Vigor, Rally, Fragmented for the heals, and like I said before, for our minor brutality, you need to drill this in. So for the minor brutality, so we're getting all our major minor damage, right? We're getting our 12% healing, our resistances. We wouldn't need to run this, and I'll tell you why now. What I would do is I would put Shuffle on for a build like this, for the majority of cases. Because on this bar, what I would run is I would switch out this skill here, right? And I would put Blade Cloak. I would put Blade Cloak. And if you wanted to run dual wield front bar, that is, it's not the best thing that I would use, in all honesty. I don't like this setup. I don't think it's got enough damage. To be honest, yeah, you would probably have to run. Yeah, you would probably have to run Race Against Time and then go dual wield, because otherwise you're not going to have enough damage through just Toxic Breath and Venomous Claw. and Blade Cloak. So you would need to run this kind of setup. And if you're gonna run this kind of setup, I would run a sword and board dual build instead of a two-hand dual build with the two-hand being the back bar. With two-hand being the front bar, that is very different. But with two-hand as the back bar, no. And I didn't mention it earlier, but with the sword and board setup, what was it? I would have run the Dawnbreaker. So yeah, I would have run that. And there are little things that you need to know. So just as extras, right? So you need to know where your recovery is. So I'm going to switch back to my original build now, right? And this is just for a guide for you guys, right? Just to give you some sort of reference on what sort of stats that you need to be running. Obviously, you need to know how to find your own stats, right? You need to know how much resistances you feel like you need, if it's too much and too little, if you need to increase them, etc. How your recovery feel, how your damage feels, all of that, how your healing feels. You need to know how all of this stuff feels. But let me quickly change back, right? What was I running? I was running the bow of critical post, and then the sword of... Okay. So if we have a quick look at my stats, right? This is how I look when I buff up. So I have my... Oh, okay. I'm going to need... Do I have anything in the bank? I don't. I should have prepared one of these before. I do not have any Arteum, but I might have... My Arteum's on a different character, I think. Okay. Where's my Dubious? What we'll do is I'll put Dubious instead, just so it's more accurate and towards the setup. Alright. So I'll check a Dubious on, right? So my magic recovery isn't the greatest, right? Magic health recovery aren't the greatest, but my stamina recovery is sitting really nice at 2600, right? And for me at the moment, 2600 plus is kind of where I want to be sat. 6k weapon damage, really nice. I could have gone down to 5.5k. Penetration, a nice. Weapon critical, you could up that. Stamina, I like above 27k stamina. I like above 27k health, and I like above 14k magic, right? So I give myself room. My resistances are really high there on the front bar, because this patch I feel like I really need resistances. And the back bar, so you need to feel like what kind of resistances you need, and you need to play around with them for your thing. You can't just copy exactly what you see. If you think you need a bit more stamina recovery than me, right? If you think 2.6k isn't quite enough, then take some out of weapon damage, right? Take something out of weapon damage. Or if you think that your crit resistance is too low, then change a piece of well fitted to impen. You get what I mean? You just need to make it... Oh, now I've got itchy eyes. Jesus, what's wrong with me? Right. Ugh. You need to make it so that it suits you. You cannot just copy people. That's the point that I'm trying to make with this video. I'm not going to drag this on any longer, right? But I do hope that you found this useful. This is, like I said, taking that step from being a good STAM DK or a new STAM DK, copying builds, to now thinking about what skills that you actively need to run and why you need to run them. And how you could change your skills and then change your build to better suit your playstyle. And that is how pro STAM DK players play. I literally did a series before, a small series where I was running bow and dual wield. Right? But I still managed to get a 1v4, 1v5 on it, on stream, because I know how to set up a STAM DK to its potential, right? There are arguments out there, like I'm not the best 1v1 STAM DK in the world, but I am definitely a top tier 1vx STAM DK, because that's where I put all my effort into. That's what I do, and that's what I can do literally in my sleep, right? STAM DK 1vxing. And I hope that knowledge has come across to you, because there's a lot that I can teach you guys, and I hope that you picked up on it. But yeah, guys, if you did enjoy this video or found it in any way helpful, then please make sure to smash that like button. Drop a comment, because I always love to hear from you. If I missed anything, if you thought I could have gone over something better, if you'd like to hear more of this kind of content, let me know in the comment section down below. And then subscribe if you haven't already, to stay up to date with all my latest content, and then to become part of the Apple army. And then if you want to come see more of me, guys, and get to know me better, and just know when my live stream is coming up, what type of videos I'm going to be doing, then make sure to come check out my Discord. The link for my Discord will be down in the description below. It'd be nice to have you over there. Without any further ado, guys, I love you all. and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.